What up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Screenheads TV, where we like to discuss all the wonderful things appearing on your movie and your TV screens. In this episode, we're going to have another Star Wars speculation discussion. This time, we're going to talk about a live action show. Now, not that I have definitive news that there's going to be a live action Star Wars show. Use your noodle and think about it, okay? Disney has ABC, and they have a deal with Netflix. I'm pretty sure they have a deal with Netflix with all the Marvel stuff that's on there, right? So, and TV right now is at, an absolute high where TV is becoming, as popular as movies. When I was growing up, people didn't talk about TV shows the way they talk about them now. TV shows didn't have cinematic quality the way they do now. Especially not dramas. When I grew up, 80s and 90s, dramas were corny, cheesy. They didn't fit with movies. Now, you watch a lot of these shows, and they have similar production value to movies. So I do not see Disney and Star Wars not taking advantage of this. They have to take advantage of this. I can't see them not taking advantage of television, live action television. We know they do the animated, but I have a strong feeling we're going to get some live action TV series soon. I wouldn't say this year, but I would say you can count on next year it being in development and maybe 2019 it coming out, but who knows? Maybe we'll get one next year later in the year. You never know. All right. Because, typically the new dramas come out in the fall, September, October. So if they start developing something next year early, or even if they've already started and we just haven't heard about it, I really think D23, we might get an announcement that our deal is in place to make live action shows. I don't think we'll get any information as to what those live action shows will be, but we'll at least know it's either going to be ABC or Netflix, and they're developing this show with this showrunner, whatever. That's what I think we're going to get at D23. But what I'm going to do in this video is speculate on what I think would make the best live action Star Wars show to put on TV. All right, now first off, I know it's Star Wars, it's Disney. Even if it wasn't Disney, Star Wars is not going to go hard R or make something just for adults. That's not how Star Wars gets down. But if you look at what they're doing with the standalones, being a little bit darker in tone, not much, but a little bit darker, and then the actual movie itself and what transpires in it. My son didn't really like Rogue One. Why? Because it was a little darker. It was a little mature in nature. It was more of a war film and not a Star Wars film. So I don't see them going hard R, but I don't see them going PG or even light PG-13. I think they're going to take a note from like Daredevil, Jessica Jones, that stuff, and maybe not be as adult as those shows, but I think they will be more in line with those shows as opposed to, let's say, the animated ones, which are, made not strictly for kids, but you get what I'm saying. All right, so I think Netflix is the perfect forum for a Star Wars show. Chances are we might get it on ABC, which is a toss of the coin. As far as network TV goes, I think ABC puts out the best product. So, we got that going for us. We'll see. All right, so here's my ideas for what could possibly work as a live action Star Wars show. First off, you have the criminals and the criminal underworld of Star Wars. This is something that hasn't really been touched on, and I think next year in Han Solo's movie, we're actually going to see a lot more of that. So if this show is going to come out next year, it would be a perfect timing because it would mesh well with the Han Solo, darker, grittier criminal underworld that I think they're going to go with. And it would fit in perfectly with that. And there's tons and tons of storylines and characters that you can put into a show about just the criminal element. Now, if you did a show like this, I think it would probably work best to be during the Empire's reign, because the Jedi are kind of all gone. That was like the galactic police, So this would give criminals more room to grow and flourish. Or it could be after Jedi, after the Empire is gone, And now you look at it, well, now the police and the Nazis are gone, so free reign for everyone. And I think that's more of a realistic timeline for a multi-season show revolving around the Star Wars galactic criminals and gangsters and underlords, so to speak. So yeah, I think that's a good idea, and I think it would work best after Jedi. But doing things in that timeline, you got to be careful, because how come they're not running into Luke or Han or Leia or whatever? But it's a big galaxy, so anything's possible. All right, next I have an Old Republic show. Now this would be the fanboys' wet dream. I really don't think they're gonna go this route, because I think if you're gonna do Old Republic, you really need to go big and grand. And it's hard to do that on the television platform with the budgets. It's much easier to go on a bigger, grander, wider scale, which I think Old Republic has to be. Tons of special effects, tons of stunt actors, and you get a better production quality, of course, with a Star Wars movie than you will with a TV show. So even though I think Old Republic would work as a TV show, because it can't just be one standalone movie, it's, a wide story arc, just like the franchise that we're dealing with now. So I think it would probably work better as a franchise of movies than it would as seasons of a television show. But you get creative enough, they could make it work. Because if you really think about it, Star Wars special effects, when it comes down to the fighting, can be done on TV. When it comes to the outer space stuff and a lot of the creatures, that's where we get dicey. So I think it might be a little bit too budget unfriendly for TV. Okay, and then we have, which is my favorite, this one is my favorite idea of the bunch, the anthology series. Actually, let me talk about another one first, then I'll get to the anthology. So we can follow some new characters that we follow their journey through one of the timelines in the Star Wars canon. So, for instance, look at Rebels. Rebels the show is comprised, the main characters are all new, original characters created for that show. So that's what I mean. They could take original characters, or even maybe they take Ezra or Kanan or somebody or Hera from the show and from the Rebels and do a live action show about them. That would work. Or they could create all new characters for a whole new journey that's going to go through. Maybe it'll be connected to everything that's come before. Maybe not. But, that is probably one of the more feasible ideas, because they're not confound. They're not tied down by anything that came before, or anything that's going on in any concurrent timeline. So if they take new characters and new storylines, this gives them the creativity to build and grow something that can stand on its own, as well as tie into the regular franchise. And then finally, this is the one that I would really love to see, an anthology series. Now, typically, at least before today's TV came out, I hear the word anthology series, and I think something like Tales from the Crypt or The Twilight Zone, where every episode is self-contained and every episode is its own story with its own characters and its own cast. And while that's fine and good, and I think it would work in the platform of Star Wars, actually, to tell, hour-long stories. I really do. I think that could work. So don't think I'm saying that it can't work. But the modern TV anthology I like so much better, where we get a whole season of one story, and then season 2 is a whole nother story, and 3 and 4 and so on and so forth. Now you watch a show like Fargo or American Horror Story, they're still weaving connections in and out of every season. Fargo more so than American Horror, but American Horror has been doing it with their later seasons, not so much with their early seasons. So I think that's a great platform to tell infinite number of Star Wars stories. Because even if you did it season by season, look at Fargo. Look at American Horror Story. There's multiple storylines going on throughout each standalone season. So you can have one of those be about the mythology, and one of those be about the current character, whatever you're dealing with, the current storyline throwaway storyline, you can call it, as far as the rest of the franchise is concerned. You know, you can add these different things, have connections to different characters here and there, and I love that idea of how every season we would get a new cast of Star Wars characters dealing with a new problem, a new situation, in a different timeline, or in a different part of the galaxy, the criminal underworld, the Republic, the Empire we can follow. Oh my God, the possibilities are endless. This is my dream for a Star Wars series. All these other ones would work, and they would all be fine. But if you did an anthology series, you could do stories from each one of my ideas. You could have one season or one episode be about the criminals, and one season or one episode be about the Old Republic, and a new character, or an old character, or Boba Fett, or Darth Vader. Think about what you can do with an anthology series. I doubt anyone from Disney or Star Wars is going to see this video, but if you do, note that I am not the only Star Wars or TV or movie fan out there that will greatly appreciate a Star Wars anthology series geared more towards teens and adults. I'm not saying you got to have blood and guts. I'm not saying death and violence, but it would follow the trope of the darker Star Wars movies like Revenge of the Sith or Empire, or how I feel The Last Jedi is going to play out. It would follow those dark tones, dark Rogue One, those dark storylines. I think Han Solo is going to be slightly darker, not in the movie itself, what's going to happen, but in the tone of it, and what the plot revolves around. I think it's going to be darker for Han Solo. So I think Disney's really trying to go down the darker road for some of their properties. I mean, Star Wars has always had dark moments, dark times. All of the movies have them. And each of the trilogies, the prequel and the original, both have one movie that's extra dark. So I totally can see them going that route, especially on a Netflix show. All right, that's it for this video. Sound off down below. Let me know what you think about my ideas for a Star Wars live action show, and put some of your ideas for a Star Wars live action show down there. Let me know what you think. Let's get a good conversation going about what we would love to see as Star Wars fans for a live action Star Wars series. Now, we probably only get them one at a time, so let's try and pick out which idea would work the best first. All right. Thanks again for watching this video. Like I said, sound off down below. Let me know what you think. I said thank you for watching, I think like 3 times already, but thanks again for watching. You guys have a great day. That's it for this video. I will see you next time.